I'm Benji Backer, President and founder of the American Conservation Coalition.
And I'm Morgan Zegers, CEO and founder of Young Americans Against Socialism.
How did the environmental conversation become about capitalism versus socialism? Is there something to be said for capitalism causing the problems? And for other economic systems, like socialism, to clean up the mess?
I won't leave you waiting. The answer is no. Capitalism rocks. But since people keep bringing it up, we want to talk about what's really behind those capitalism kills signs.
And more importantly, why the exact opposite is true when it comes to overcoming environmental challenges. Let's get started. Have you ever heard the phrase capitalism kills? It would be hard to miss these days, as the idea is spread by many young climate activists.
In recent years, capitalism kills posters have been showing up in increasing numbers at climate rallies across the United States and in countries around the globe. They treat it as the central cause of environmental damage.
They call it injustice.
Or climate injustice, to be specific.
But the question, of course, is whether that's true. Does capitalism kill, and is the system guilty?
Well, capitalism kills makes a pretty edgy t-shirt slogan, but it's not exactly accurate.
You know, most of these activists consider socialism the opposite of and solution to unfettered capitalism. They sing socialism's praises as a cure for the so-called killing sprees of capitalist greed.
Their style of climate activism ends up being counterintuitive to the environmental movement. These protesters are attempting to co-opt the vital message of saving the environment in order to win an ideological argument. They are attacking capitalism as a killer so that they can position socialism as a savior. That perception is a huge part for why Young Americans Against Socialism was founded. Because in reality, the last century has suffered immeasurably under socialism. Whether you're talking about Russia under Stalin, China under Mao, over 60 million lives were taken because of their ideology.
And if you think today's socialist nations learned from those mistakes and turned the ideas of socialism into the utopian paradise that was always promised, think again. Today's socialist nations aren't just detrimental for humans, they're also bad for the planet.
Take Venezuela, for example, where irresponsible mining practices have led to mercury poisoning in the water supply, not to mention rampant and ongoing deforestation occurring at an alarming rate.
In fact, the land itself is in danger in Venezuela, primarily because it's all owned by the socialist government. The Venezuelan people simply don't have the power to challenge their government and can do little to protect the environment from its clutches. Instead of caring about the planet, corrupt Venezuelan officials care only for enriching themselves.
Now, compare that to a market-based system like we have here. When we face environmental challenges, we don't have to rely solely on the government for solutions. We can change our own behavior, and we can encourage industries to innovate. Competition for consumers drives the kind of change that is only possible in a free market.
Markets invite innovation. A great example of this is the shale revolution, during which the use of liquefied natural gas instead of coal reduced emissions by 12% in 10 years, more than the next 12 other countries combined. And while natural gas isn't necessarily the end goal, it's been instrumental in the United States' fight against climate change. Capitalism, not socialism, got us here.
There is a market for conservation in countries with free economies. So many everyday people are good stewards of the environment and frankly are better at caring for the planet than the government will ever be.
While many of today's environmental activists dislike this fact, they can't deny it's true. Countries like the United States have better environmental outcomes because we're more adaptable.
Capitalism doesn't kill, it can cure.
It's not flawless, no system is, and while we should acknowledge that capitalism has created many of our environmental challenges, capitalism also has the power to create the solutions. For example, a car might drive you into a dead end, but it also can drive you back out too. Capitalism has alleviated poverty and increased quality of life for people all over the world for decades.
So capitalism kills might be eye-catching on a protest sign, but it's not exactly reality-based.
It isn't. Capitalism has been incredibly good for humankind overall, and it can be good for the environment too, especially if it's coupled with a reasonable government action.
A heavy-handed, top-down government approach to environmentalism is not how we fight climate change.
A freer market and free people, armed with facts and a common interest, is more powerful than the bludgeon of any centralized authority.
Bad guys have been learning that for a long time when it comes to governing nations. the challenge of climate change is just as defeatable by that same powerful force.
So, what do you all think? How can capitalism protect the planet?
Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and visit our websites.
Thanks for joining us.